Introducing the all-new Dual-Spotter Deluxe by H&S Autoshot. The Dual-Spotter Deluxe is the only handheld stud welder available that can weld to both steel and aluminum panels. The only dual metal handheld stud welder on the market. The kit comes complete with the 110 volt power supply, a 15-foot cord to attach the power supply to the lightweight welder, and all the welding accessories and enough studs and tabs to get you started. Now let's take a closer look. The power supply is compact in size and easily fits into a shelf or a cart. It operates on 110 volts and is low draw, so it can be plugged into any 110 volt outlet. The cable attached to the power supply to the gun is 15 feet in length and has an abrasion-resistant protective outer covering. It is attached to the power supply with a positive lock threaded connector. The welding gun at 5 pounds is the lightest handheld stud welder on the market. The power control knob is built into the gun for convenient operation, and the grip is comfortable and located to give a balanced feel. For welding aluminum, the kit comes with a pair of clearly identified ground pins and a 4mm aluminum stud collar. For steel, we have the single, longer, adjustable ground pin and the Uni-Tab welding tip. There is a wrench supply for tightening and removing the various tips and ground pins. To finish off the kit, the all-new dent stick adapter for small damage repair on steel panels has been added. Also supplied is a selection of both aluminum silicon and aluminum magnesium studs, along with the pull tab adapters for repairing aluminum. For steel, both the straight and twisted pull tabs are included. Setting up the welder to weld aluminum is simple. We start by setting the stud height in the collar. In this setup, we want the stud to extend 3 to 4 millimeters out of the collar. The adjustment screw on the back of the collet is preset by the factory, so it prevents the stud from pushing into the collet beyond the desired height. Tighten the lock nut. The collet is now set to locate the stud at the correct length every time. Once the collet has been set, insert the 2 short ground pins with the red marking into opposite holes in the ground plate. The ground pins must be located on opposite sides of the collet so the power is evenly dissipated in both directions away from the stud, creating a complete weld of the stud head. Grounding on just one side could lead to a poor weld. Once the ground pins are in place, insert the collet. The top of the collet should be level with the tops of the 2 ground pins. That will give us the proper preload on the stud during the welding process. The welder is now ready to use. During the welding process, we need to make sure the panel surface is free of all coatings and oxidization. If the paint-free panel has been exposed to air for longer than 15 minutes, it will need to be cleaned with a stainless steel wire brush. You must use a stainless steel brush. The use of a regular steel brush could result in contamination of the panel surface. The tip of the stud will require cleaning as well. The dent needs to be analyzed, and the number of studs needed to make the pull must be determined. In the case of a single stud pull, the stud is placed into the center of the dent, and the gun is pushed squarely down onto the panel, so the stud is pointing in the direction of the pull, and both ground pins are making firm contact on the panel. The power setting should be set at 28 on the meter. When the trigger is squeezed, the weld will occur. Safety precautions need to be taken during the welding process. Do not look directly at the weld. Hands and arms need to be protected from possible weld splatter. Once the weld has completed, pull the welder directly up off the stud. Pulling the welder sideways could result in breaking of the stud and result in panel damage. Now install a tab adapter to the stud. Screw the adapter halfway down the stud. Attach a pulling bridge to the adapter to put continuous pull on the stud. While we're pulling on the stud, heat must be applied to the edge or the brow of the dent. Aluminum work hardens and needs to be heated to release the dent. Caution needs to be taken during the heating. The panel should never be heated above 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Heating above that temperature will result in permanently annealing or softening of the panel. The temperature can be read using the Uni-9700 digital thermometer. Identify the brow of the dent. Apply pressure to the stud by tightening the puller. You will see the panel come up as you tighten the puller. Once the stud is loaded, heat the brow, releasing the dent. The process is repeated until the dent is removed. Once the dent is pulled, snip the stem of the stud and then grind off the head. Be careful not to overheat the panel during the grinding process. To set the welder up to weld on steel, we insert the Uni-Tab welding tip into the collet of the welder and snug up the nut. Caution should be taken not to over-tighten the nut. Once the tab welding tip has been installed, insert the long ground pin into the hole on the ground plate with the screw knob tightener. Insert a Uni-Tab in the welding tip and adjust the ground pin so the tip of the Uni-Tab extends 3 to 4 millimeters past the end of the ground pin. That additional length will preload the pressure on the tab and push the tab into the panel during the welding process. Prep the panel by removing all coatings, corrosions, or oils. Set the power reading on the gun to 22. The dent needs to be analyzed to determine the number of tabs required and the best location to weld the tabs to pull the dent. When working on a heavy pull, the straight tabs are welded side by side to create a pulling block. Using the tabs this way allows the operator to make repairs to rocker panels and pillars. A marker can be used to locate exactly where the original body line was, so the Uni-Tabs can be welded along the exact line required and the body line pulled to its original shape. Place the Uni-Tab onto the panel in the desired location and squeeze the trigger. Pull the welder directly up off the tab. Repeat the process as many times as required. To complete the pulling process, use the Uni-1065 pulling rod to place through the tab. Then attach the appropriate pulling bridge, attach the claw to the pulling rod, and make the pull. Unlike aluminum, there is no need to heat the steel panels. When the pull is completed, twist the tabs to break them off the panel. Properly welded Uni-Tabs are reusable. When the pull is completed, twist the tabs to break them off the panel. Properly welded Uni-Tabs are reusable. The optional tab shooter is a great way to quickly weld down a row of straight Uni-Tabs. The tab shooter holds up to 35 Uni-Tabs and lets the user continuously weld tabs without having to stop and load tabs into the welding tip. See the tab shooter up with the ground pin set 3 to 4 millimeters lower than the tip of the extended tab out of the tab shooter, the same distance we have been using with the other attachments. Grip the handle of the welder and handle the tab shooter with your other hand. Push the tab down onto the panel surface, making sure there is good contact with the ground pin, and squeeze the trigger. Pull the welder directly up off the tab. The tab shooter will pull away from the welder as the welder is pulled up. Once the welder is pulled free of the tab, pull the tab shooter back towards the welder, setting a new tab in place ready to weld. Repeat the process as required. The tab shooter is designed to work with straight tabs only. The latest dent pulling tool from H&S for use on steel panels is the dent stick. We have made a version to be used with the Dual-Spotter. The dent stick is a quick and easy way to pull damage to finish off large pulls started with studs or tabs. The dent stick is inserted into the Dual-Spotter along the long ground pin. The ground pin is set 3 to 4 millimeters lower than the welding tip of the dent stick, the same way we set up the other tips. The lever foot on the dent stick can be adjusted towards or away from the welding tip, or adjusted up or down from the panel. These adjustments will be made as required for each dent. Once the panel has been cleaned off of all coatings, the dent stick is placed onto the panel with the weld tip located in the dent and the ground pin firmly pressed against the clean panel. Squeeze the trigger and weld the tip onto the panel. Once the tip is welded, use the body of the welder to gently prod the dent out of the panel surface. When the pull is completed, rotate the welder in a clockwise direction 90 degrees to break the weld tip off the panel. Move and repeat the process as often as required to finish the repair. Please note, over-welding the dent stick and over-pulling can result in damage to the panel. Caution should be taken not to over-pull the repair. To keep the Dual-Spotter working well, keep all contact surfaces clean and in good shape. Please contact your local sales representative or H&S Autoshot customer service with any questions.